Thank you for having me this evening. I'm not running against any person. I'm not running against any personalities. I'm running against a system. I'm born and raised here in Palm Beach County. I've been practicing law almost 34 years. And many of the communities that I frequent look today like they did when I was a child. Reverend Graham and my wife and I went to New York not too long ago for the National Coalition, National Network, Al Sharpton's group, and Ben Crump made a very profound statement that we might be the first generation who will leave the world worse off than we found it. And when I look at the communities that I've had an opportunity to go to, I started this race almost 2 years ago, and like a lawyer, I did my research. I went and I listened. I went to the Heart of Boynton meetings and the Boynton Strong meetings and to the elders tables, and I sat, and for the most part I listened to hear the problems. And what I learned was that we have some very difficult structural systemic issues that we have to address. You give me that 30 seconds, you threw me off, man. See it through. The issues that we have to address are very long-standing. I mean, we live in a state where diversity, equity, and inclusion are bad words. And so if we don't address those issues, our lives will be worse off and our children's lives will be worse off than we found them. I went to a ordinance burning. Some Jim Crow era ordinances were burned here in Boynton about 3 months ago. And then I went to a Boynton Coalition of Clergy meeting. And at that meeting, the city was really excited about the fact that they had gotten this grant to repave some streets in one of the neighborhoods. And former Palm Beach Lakes principal Nate Collins rose and said, "You know, I've lived in this community for 50 years and never once have my roads been resurfaced. And now I gotta wait on a grant?" That's the issue that I'm willing to fight for Palm Beach County and District 7. Thank you.
So you're kind of just always on the hot seat tonight. What specific initiatives will you implement to promote economic development and job creation in predominantly Black communities within Palm Beach County?
Well, as a small business owner, I believe that small business growth are the very first place that you can look to try and give people opportunities. I can tell you this, that the Ryles firm has developed 6 lawyers over the 30 years that I've been in business. We've produced over 20 paralegals over the 30 years I've been in business, and I'm proud of that. And so what I would do is make sure that the policies, for instance, the county did a disparity study which showed, and I was a part of both. I was a part of the disparity study in 1990, and I was a part of the disparity study in the mid-2000s, 2020s. And in both, it showed that African American business got 0.08% of the business that the county did. And it wasn't much better in the 2020s. And so as the commissioner for District 7, I will make sure that Black businesses that try to do business with the county have a fair and ample opportunity. That someone speaks out when it's not fair. That someone holds the people who are in a position to make it fair accountable. And I don't care if they look like me. Because Black faces in high places that don't do anything for us are no better than anybody else. Thank you.
How do you plan to enhance public safety in Black neighborhoods while also fostering positive relationships between law enforcement and the community?
Well, the governor has made that very difficult because we can't have community advisory boards anymore. What we have to do, and I've thought about this a lot. There's a book I was reading, and I gave it to a few of the people in here called Black History AF, the Unwhitewashed History of America. And after the Civil War, General Sherman, who was leader of the Union troops, said, went to 20 black pastors and said, what do you need to make it in America? And he told them, the pastor told them three things. They need land, they need education, and they need the vote. And what I see is we don't understand the vote part. Because the vote has two parts to it. One is showing up on election day. Two is showing up to the city hall or to the county commission and holding your representative accountable because they work for you. I tell everybody, I have 45 employees in my office, but I have 150 employers who are my clients. And so I understand service to my clients. And until we get that dynamic correct, the dynamic between the person who's sitting in the seat and the people being their employer, not until then will we get what we deserve.
What is your stance on criminal justice reform, and how do you plan to address issues such as police accountability and reducing incarceration rates among black residents?
Education. Education is key. Education and finding opportunities for people. You know, the one thing we do for our children is we tell them, go to college, get a good job, right? But we don't tell them anything about that middle part to get a good job. And we don't make a way for them to get a good job. Most people get their first job because somebody made a call to somebody that had a job, that somebody knew somebody. That's what a good county commissioner does, is he makes those phone calls and he puts people in place so that they can have an opportunity. And that's what I intend to do, is to use the position for the benefit of the community, not just my children.
What measures will you take to ensure that black students have access to high-quality education and resources in Palm Beach County schools in District 7?
I'm glad you asked me that question. Like I told y'all, I'm a good lawyer, and I did some research. And there is an acronym called ALICE. And after COVID, our children fell so far behind because they didn't have access to internet, technology. And what that ALICE acronym, I won't even go through it, but what it means is the working poor. You know, Dr. King said that to tell a man to pull himself up by his bootstraps is okay, but it's a cruel hoax to tell a man who's bootless to pull himself up by his bootstraps. And so we have people who are bootless. And unfortunately, we look at the educational system very simplistically, because the first person to teach you how to read is your mama or your dad. And if you have parents who can't read, it's very difficult for them to be able to teach those children how to read. I come from 3 generations of school teachers. And so I understand that we have to work with the parents and put the resources necessary for them to be able to help their children succeed. And that's money. Racism is expensive. And I don't care what it costs.